Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap Ltd materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. I'm also on X. My name there is @Pless. I have a few announcements. First of all, Bookmap is encouraging everyone to join Bookmap Discord. You do need a Bookmap subscription. If you're not already a Bookmap subscriber, there is a free subscription available. And you will need to verify your account. You can scan this QR code, verify your account for full access to Bookmap Discord, including watching the streams in Discord as well as participating in chat. Also, the Blue Jacket competition this month, the prize for the winner is a one-on-one session with me. So for the Blue Jacket competition, again, this month, prize is a one-on-one session with me. And finally, the Pro Trader webinar series began on Monday this week. And it's in Discord only. And note, I believe it does start at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, directly after my session today. So that's the Pro Trader webinar series. Here are the key tenets to my approach of trading. I believe that options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures, certainly in the large cap tech stocks like the Magnificent Seven stocks that I follow and trade, as well as the equity index futures like the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index. SPY is the ETF version of that index, and the ES futures contract is a derivative of SPX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index. QQQ is the much more liquid ETF version of that index. And NQ, the NQ futures contract, is a derivative of NDX. And just like the S&P 500, when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned at the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as the directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis. And for setups. And when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset, Setups in that asset can be taken with futures contracts, shares of stock, or options, depending on the asset as well as the way you like to trade. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Jug chat channel as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. Hello, RJ. Welcome. Glad you're here. Hello, Hector. Welcome. Glad you're here as well. And hello, Jake. Welcome. Glad you're here as well. All right, here's my agenda for today, Wednesday, September 25th. First of all, I want to go over news items, economic data, and events for the rest of the week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today. I also want to review a setup from yesterday that I did post in Discord as well as the X. And then I'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know and I'll be glad to do that. All right, let's start with news items, economic data, and events. Not much today. Tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, jobless claims, durable goods orders, and GDP. So a data could be a pretty big data release tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Then Jerome Powell is speaking at 9:20 a.m. Eastern Time. So that's Thursday, and then Friday, PCE data comes out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and then Michigan Consumer Sentiment at 10 a.m. So a couple of big days of data releases and events coming up for Thursday and Friday. All right, that is news items. Let's move on to positional analysis. I'm going to start with the SB 500. This is the ES Futures and Bookmap. Before I take a closer look at this chart, I do want to take a look at a higher time frame. I'm going to go to the SPX, underlying index. This is a one-day chart in Thinkorswim going back for a year. Let's take a look at recent price action. This was the recent low on August 5th. 51.19 after the weekend of the Japan yen carry trade unwind. SPX rallied up, consolidated, moved back, tested the 5,400 put wall, and now has rallied to new highs. So let's pick that up with a 1-hour chart now. Here's that pullback, couple of tests of the 5,400 put wall, and that was actually also a test of the SPY 540 put wall. After that second test, SPX has rallied. Here's the FOMC, huge gap up. Most of the move was overnight, and the consolidation ever since then. Right now, consolidation between 5,700 and 5,750. All right, let's take a look at levels on this chart. First of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. This is based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX from last Friday. Those levels remain in place for the entire week. The dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move, also based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX from yesterday. Excuse me, I do post those levels in Discord every day the evening before. All right, so SPX trading within both ranges today. It looks like possibly testing the lower daily expected move. All right, let's take a look at the Spotgamma levels on this chart now. Those are shown with the dark red lines. These are based on gamma-weighted open interest. They're provided to Spotgamma subscribers on a variety of trading platforms. Again, this is Thinkorswim, a 30-day, 1-hour chart. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. First of all, the put wall at 5,400. That's the strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. The next level up is the volatility trigger at 56.85. That is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility and gamma flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. And in a positive gamma environment, like SPX is trading now, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to subdue decreased volatility. Then finally, the call wall and absolute gamma strike are both at 57.50. So the call wall is a strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. And that 57.50 level is also the absolute gamma strike. That's a strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. So that is where most of the gamma weighted open interest is concentrated, and certainly could be a pinning level. All right, so those are the levels in play, key daily levels. Let's wrap up our view of SPX with a 1 minute chart. So there's that big gap up last Thursday, the delayed reaction to the F1C, and then pretty much a consolidation, a grind up. Now it looks like SPX may be breaking that uptrend. We'll keep an eye on that. So really just a kind of a positive gamma grind up and then a little bit of a grind lower today. So again, Spotgamma was looking for a very narrow range today, 5,700 to 5,750, and SPX is staying within that range today. All right, let's move on to Bookmap now. Bookmap, again, this is ES Futures and Bookmap. And as you've seen, I focus on SPX levels and SPY levels as well. And I do that with my own cloud notes here. And it looks like mostly SPY levels in play for today. There's the SPY 571.81 combo 3 level acting as resistance earlier today. And now the S&P 500 is trading down toward the SPY 569 volatility trigger. We'll keep an eye on that level. And see how price reacts at that level. And also the ES, lower daily expected move just below that. All right, shifts in levels. Before we move on, I want to mention that the volatility trigger for SPX did move higher, slightly higher from yesterday, and also the call wall for SPY moved higher, up to 575. So SPY, both SPY and SPX are trading below their call wall, so room to move higher. And hello, Stephen. Welcome. Glad you're here. All right, so a very steady grind lower. We'll take a look at setups in just a few minutes. So again, this upper combo level acting as resistance. And now we'll keep a close eye on the SPY 569 volatility trigger and to see what happens at that level. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ. This is NQ Futures, the Bookmap. Pretty strong move up right at the cash open. That lasted for about 45 minutes, and now NASDAQ is also grinding lower. Let's take a look at the underlying index charts. First of all, QQQ. No clear resistance up above. That's a combo level at 487.29. Another combo level at 486.32. And now it looks like the 485 level may be acting as support just like it did just after the open. And let me do a quick check. QQQ 485 is a large gamma 2 level. All right, 485 large gamma 2 acting as support. Yeah, large gamma 2. Let's take a quick look at NDX. There's that sharp move up. High of about 2043. Now NDX also grinding lower back to around the opening print. A couple of combo levels and a large gamma 2 level in play earlier today. All right, so just like the S&P 500 ES, I also have my cloud notes here so I can show Spotgamma levels. There's that NDX combo level near the top end of the range, and then there's those two NDX levels right around 20,000. And then there's the QQQ 485 large gamma 2 around that level acting as support. All right, for NASDAQ, NDX, volatility trigger moves slightly lower, and the volatility trigger for QQQ moves slightly higher. So really minor shifts altogether for the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. And again, I'll take a look at setups in a few minutes. All right, let's wrap up our positional analysis by taking a look at gamma notional. Whoops. This is market maker's position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. For the S&P 500 and NASDAQ, note all these numbers are positive. Again, for a positive gamma environment, Spotgamma assumes for an index that traders are short calls, market makers are long calls, hence the positive gamma. They have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. All these numbers did move up from yesterday, and I would say for the NASDAQ, just mildly, very mildly positive, and a little bit more positive for the S&P 500. So trading in a positive gamma environment. And just to confirm this, here's the trace, the new trace tool. I'm looking at gamma now. And I have changed my colors. Brent at Spotgamma was using purple. He was calling it blue. I didn't find there was enough difference between purple and red, so I changed the positive to this brighter blue. So all in this range, mostly positive gamma. And we'll get back to this in a few minutes. All right, so that's gamma. All right, so based on this, my thesis for the day, first of all, looking for lower volatility. And there really weren't enough changes or shifts in the key daily levels to make any directional bias. Mainly looking for a trading range for the S&P 500, between 5,700. That was the noted support level in the AM Founders Note, and the resistance level at 5,750. I got the wrong tool there. Let's go to Hero now. All right, so that is the positional analysis. Thesis for the day, again, low volatility, looking for a narrow trading range. All right, let's move on to execution now. Move on to real time. As always, I'm going to start with the S&P 500, and I'm going to take a look at what options traders have been doing today. This is the hero signal from Spotgamma. It's available to Spotgamma subscribers. And what this chart is showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. There are two lines on this chart. The white line is showing price for SPX, and the purple line is the hero signal, HIRO, hedging impact real-time options. And a rising hero signal indicates traders are taking positive delta positions. They're buying calls and or selling puts. That didn't last long this morning. And a falling hero signal indicates traders are taking negative delta options positions. They are buying puts and or selling calls. And this is the index signal for the S&P 500. There are two signals, hero signals, that we can take a look at for the S&P 500. So this is the index signal, and this is the equity signal. So what this chart is showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity for all 500 stocks in the S&P 500 index. In this chart, what this chart is showing is that traders were aggressively taking positive delta positions this morning up until about 10:20, 10:25. Then they started taking negative delta options positions. And today I thought the S&P 500 index signal provided a much more clear signal. So let's zoom in on this chart. Open full screen. And let's focus on this, where the downtrend really began just around 10:10, something like that. So Hero made a series of equal highs. The floor that comes in gets your attention. That signals significant options activity. And can often be a mean reversion signal, giving you an advance warning of a pending reversal in the hedging flow from, in this case, positive delta to negative delta. And that's exactly what happened. All right, I'm going to shift to puts and calls now. I'm going to have to jump back to avoid the auto zoom. Let's zoom in again. All right, so what you can see is this, the blue line is showing puts. And the blue line, falling blue line, indicates traders are buying puts, market makers are selling puts. They have to take the opposite side of that trade, and they have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. Looks like this flow alert came in right as the put signal started to move lower. So that was an advance warning, about a 15 minute warning. Traders started buying puts. A few minutes later, the call signal leveled off, then started to move lower. All right, so advance warning from Hero there if you were watching the put signal separated from the call signal. So blue line puts, falling blue line, traders are buying puts. Call line falling, but not quite as steeply as the put line initially. So starting after around 10:15, traders were selling calls, buying puts. Both blue line and orange line moving the same direction. That shows that's a very powerful signal. In this case, it was bearish. And note traders continue to buy puts. It looks like starting around 1 p.m. they have started to buy calls now. All right, so that's the S&P 500 options trades. Let's take a look at order flow. Go back to Bookmap. All right, you can see this initial test of this combo level, combo 3 level, that combines SPY and SPX, gamma weighted open interest into one level. Here they're shown in terms of a SPY level. Then I have translated it to an ES level. So that level acting as resistance. So let's look at order flow now. The volume dots in Bookmap show market buy minus sell. Green volume dots indicate more buyers than sellers. Magenta dots more sellers than buyers. You can see after the second test, aggressive sellers starting to come in. Buyers are exhausted, sellers come in. And since then, cumulative volume delta has been grinding lower. So aggressive sellers in charge. Also the yellow line falling, that indicates sell stop orders, helping to fuel the move lower. And then looking at the light blue line, that shows iceberg orders. That shows this falling light blue line right after 9:30 shows that large traders were selling with iceberg orders. So net for the day, since I opened up Bookmap, somewhere around 6:45, icebergs, stops, and cumulative volume delta are all negative for the day. All right, so this is important to take note of here. The SPY 569 volatility trigger held as support. Very important to watch reactions at the volatility triggers. And 569, the SPY volatility trigger, did hold as support so far today. All right, so short setup, second test of the combo 3 level there just after 10 as the options hedging flow shifted from positive delta to negative delta. Aggressive sellers came in, and then sell stop orders also helped to fuel the move lower down to the SPY 569 volatility trigger. Let's go back. All right, so again, looking at the index signal here, now it looks like around 1 o'clock. Traders started to buy calls, and now they're selling puts after this double test of the SPY 569 volatility trigger. All right, let's take a look at the trace tool. Note this is something new from Spotgamma. If you're not not familiar with it, I checked the Spotgamma YouTube channel. I think they may have posted presentations on YouTube by now. What this is showing is buying pressure in blue and selling pressure in red. This does change over time. So we can go back in time and step through this. So let's go back and step through this as time had passed today. All right, so I didn't realize that arrow actually plays it. All right, so that I hope that wasn't too fast. So it looks like now, as price move lower, this neutral zone here kind of this black shaded area has shifted lower until finally buying pressure built again around the SPY 569 volatility trigger. All right, so think of this like a heat map for options trades, just like the heat map in Bookmap showing limit buy and sell orders. Think of this like kind of like a heat map. All right, note this is only available for SPX right now. I think Spotgamma does plan to add additional instruments to this in the future. And you can also see the large strikes here, 57.20, 57.10, and large positive gamma at those levels. All right, any questions about that? All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. And for NASDAQ, there are two signals that we can take a look at. And I'm going to go back to total, close full screen. I'm going to have to jump so I don't get the auto zoom. So what this chart is showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity for NDX and QQQ. So this is the index signal for NASDAQ. And there's another chart that we can take a look at. This is equivalent to the S&P equity signal, which is actually the MAG 7 plus 493. So this is the MAG 7 without the 493. What this chart is showing is options trades, market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of the stocks known as the Magnificent Seven: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla. All right, what this chart is showing, let's zoom in on this. Options traders taking positive delta positions. And the NASDAQ, this is shown price showing for QQQ, actually started moving lower before traders started taking negative delta positions in the MAG 7 stocks. I'm going to shift to puts and calls. Let's go to the index signal for NASDAQ. This provides, I think, a little bit more clarity, especially in the morning. Traders were buying puts from the open. After a few minutes, they started buying calls, took their foot off the gas right around 10:15, 10:20. Now blue line, orange line moving the same direction. Price moves lower. Let's go back to the MAG 7 signal. And around that same time, traders, call buyers in the MAG 7 stocks took their foot off the gas, started buying puts, and again price moved lower. All right, let's zoom out. Let's see which signal is giving us more clarity. All right, so it looks like now in the index signal, traders have started to buy calls, not doing much with puts. Back to the MAG 7 signal. All right, so it looks like both of these signals have somewhat leveled off right now. So let's go to Bookmap, go to NASDAQ. There's that sharp move up from the open as traders were buying calls in the MAG 7 stocks. Again, they took the foot off the gas and price moved lower back down to the 485 level, around that level. That was around the cash open. Looks like they took it a little bit lower, but now moving higher. All right, Hector is asking about combo levels. Hector, I'll get to that I'll take a look at that after the webinar. I don't want to take a look at that now. All right, one thing I do want to do is focus on a setup from yesterday. There were a lot of questions in both X and in Discord. And one question in Discord indicated that the contour could be identified earlier than hero, and then someone else in X complaining that trace was not was not predictive. I'm not sure where that person got that indication. So what I want to do, I want to go through the post that I put together yesterday. This took some time to put all these charts together. I will probably write an article for Spotgamma about this. So what I want to do is focus on this setup. I'll take a few minutes and then we'll get to some stocks. I have been doing this for several years, and there are a variety of reasons that I create these posts. One is to help other users, other traders see how to use these tools, Bookmap, Spotgamma, also to promote Bookmap and Spotgamma, and then most importantly for my own benefit, to train my mind, my eye, to see this information quicker so I can respond quicker when I see these setups. So the sequence of order is very important here. This is basically a timeline sequence of what I'm looking at. So first of all, number one here, and again, remember, I'm doing this for myself, and I recommend everyone else, if you want to improve as a trader, you take time, take some screenshots, annotate the screenshots. You will be surprised at what you see once you slow down, take time to mark all this up on your charts. It does take time, but I think it is well worth it. All right, so let's step through these. First of all, first thing I noticed, this rising light blue line. Large traders were buying ES with iceberg orders as price was falling. They were fading the move. That is pretty typical behavior of large traders, buying weakness and selling strength. So that was the first clue to look for a long. Also, this 5700 level of large gamma, large level of gamma weighted open interest, noted as support in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. Price was approaching that level. I'm sure many of these large traders knew that. All right, so that's the first thing I noticed. Price approaching that 5700 level that I anticipated that would act as support. Large traders were buying weakness as price approached that level. Now let's take a look at this trace tool. This is new. Today is only the third day that I have been using this. So I'm going to have to, it's going to take some time to fully understand this. I did want to get this post out. So again, look at this like a heat map in Bookmap. The blue zone is delta buying pressure. Red zone is delta selling pressure. So as price was moving lower, it was approaching this blue buying pressure zone. So that's the third clue. Price approaching us a key level, 5,700, that I expected to act as support. Large traders were already buying that weakness. All right, let's take a look now. Let's go back to that was the second item of the sequence. All right, let's take a look at the third, the hero signal. And this actually happened simultaneously to this reversal at 5,700. And I'm looking at the equity signal in this case. Traders taking negative delta positions on the way down. Price reaches 5,700. Then as price starts to move up, Hero Signal confirms the move higher by buying calls and selling puts in the S&P 500 stocks. So that's the third confirmation. All right, let's go back to Bookmap. Number 4, there's the reversal higher. Maybe that happened before the traders, the Hero Signal reversed from negative delta to positive delta. And then you can look at the volume dots in Bookmap here. You can see magenta dots, it looks like. Sellers are exhausted, that very small magenta volume dot. As price reverses above the 5,700 level, aggressive buyers starting to come in. And you can see all the green volume dots all the way up. And that's also confirmed by the rising cumulative volume delta. Also, as price was moving higher, buy stop orders were helping to fuel the move higher. So we got that. We have that reversal at 5,700 as expected. Aggressive buyers coming in, shown by all the green volume dots. CVD rising, buy stop orders fueling the move higher. Looking at a primary target at the SPY 570 call wall that's shown here. Now let's go back and take a look at number 9. That's shown by the second screenshot of the trace indicator. So notice on the way up, and again you can, if you have access to trace, you can go back and watch a sequence of this. And one thing that I found extremely valuable as price was moving up, both the blue zone and the red zone were moving higher. So the SPX was showing that selling pressure was not coming in as price was moving up. That was a very good clue to hold a runner. No need to sell your runner. Even at that SPY 560 absolute gamma strike, there was no selling pressure coming in. And note that finally, SPX ended up in this neutral zone, this black area of black, selling pressure above, buying pressure below, and I thought that was time to exit. All right, let's go back to the Bookmap chart. Actually, let's go back to this is the entire day. And note how ES remained in that range, somewhere between SPY 570 and 571 for the rest of the day, and mostly in that neutral zone, selling pressure above and buying pressure below. All right, so I hope that was helpful. There were some questions about that. Any questions now about that? All right, let's take a look at some stocks. I want to start with Apple. Let's go back to Hero. Let's see what options traders are doing in Apple today. Orange line shows traders are buying calls. 2 flow alerts come in first 10 minutes. Get your attention for significant options activity. And Apple moves higher as traders are buying calls. Market makers sell the calls, and they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. And then notice right around 10:10, they took the foot off the gas, started selling calls, also buying puts. Apple moved lower. $225 is the put wall, hedge wall, and it looks like Apple has finally broken below that level. That's right here. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. There's the 225 hedge wall, put wall. You can see all the, in the heat map here, all these were limit buy orders shown in the order book, very typical for a stock. These buy orders will come in, limit sell and buy orders come in, typically at the open. Looks like an Apple there come in sometime later and remain in the order book until they're filled. There's that reversal lower. That's about the same time as the index has started to move lower. As call buyers took their foot off the gas, started selling calls. Now Apple has broken below the 225 put wall. All right, next stock, AMD. Very strong day in AMD here. You can see all the green volume dots, aggressive buyers, rising cumulative volume delta. Let's see what options traders are doing in AMD. All right, in AMD, traders are buying calls shown by the rising orange line, also selling puts. Call wall breach at 160. Market makers are short those calls. As those calls go deeper in the money, market makers have to continue to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. Looks like they took the foot off the gas right around noon. Now AMD consolidating, but remaining above the 160 call wall key gamma strike. In the subchart here, I have two indicators. First, cumulative volume delta, that's shown by the rising dark blue line. Also, the market pulse price change indicator. Let's zoom in on this just a little bit. Just focusing on this move higher. So what this market pulse price change indicator does is show the extremes, both negative and positive. I like to use this as a confirmation of deeper pullbacks for entries, in this case for an uptrend. These price change extremes, in this case to the downside, help to confirm the deeper pullbacks that would be good for a long entry. Also, multiple pullbacks to VWAP, that's shown by this light blue line. And again, confirmed by the market pulse price change indicator. All right, that's AMD. Let's take a look at ARM, another semiconductor. Also on the move earlier today. Let's see what options traders are doing. Go to ARM Holdings. Very typical pattern. Traders aggressively buying calls in the morning up until about 10:15, 10:20. Take the foot off the gas, and now price moves lower. And that was just below the 150 call wall. That was also a level of high liquidity. So the call buyers could not quite move ARM up to the 150 call wall. Back to Bookmap. Now in this case, if I were looking for short entries in this downtrend, I would look for the larger pullbacks confirmed by the market pulse price change indicator. There's one to VWAP right there. All right, let's go to Meta. Ranchveer asked about NVIDIA. Yeah, I had definitely planned to take a look at NVIDIA. I'll get to that after Meta. Very strong day in Meta. And note, Meta is, there is a Meta conference going on today. I think it's the Connect conference. I believe that's going on right now. So let's see what options traders are doing in Meta. All right, so first of all, note for Meta, 570 is a call wall. So it looks like after the conference began, Meta finally broke above that call wall after chopping up and down around that level for quite some time. So call buyers definitely driving price in Meta. Traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls. Started to slow down as Meta approached that 570 call wall, consolidated around that level, and now has broken higher. So a call wall breach for Meta as well. Those calls going deeper in the money. Market makers delta is becoming more negative. They have to continue to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. Let's go back to Bookmap. There's that sharp break above the 570 call wall, and they went directly for the 575 liquidity, high liquidity limit sell orders at that level. Very fast 5-point jump higher in Meta. There must have been some good news in the conference. All right, that's Meta. Next stock, NVIDIA. Looks a little bit more like ARM. Let's see what options traders are doing in NVIDIA. So just as a reminder, there's ARM. Call buyers took their foot off the gas. Let's go to NVIDIA. Similar. Call buyers driving price higher in the morning. Up until about 10:30. Took their foot off the gas. Started selling calls, now buying puts. Price will move lower. Looks like now both lines have flattened out and Meta's consolidating. The floor that comes in about 9:45, get your attention. Significant options activity. You see the rising orange line and look for a long entry. There's the next pullback after the flow alert. Let's go back to Bookmap. Zoom in on this. So definite absorption at this 125 high liquidity level. Call buyers could not price, quite make it up to that level. You can see the volume dots, green volume dots getting smaller. So the aggressive sellers, volume decreasing. And for NVIDIA, the market pulse price change indicator does a very good job of marking these duple pullbacks. In this case, for a long entry. The target, very clear target today, this very high liquidity at 125. And you can see most of that came in at the cash open at 9:30. Our fan wants to take a look at QQQ for large buyer-seller position. Yeah, we can take a look at QQQ. All right, so typically in QQQ, there is not much liquidity in the order book. So our fan is, I hope I'm not pronouncing your name too badly. Is this what you want to take a look at, or do you want to take a look at QQQ in Hero? We can take a look at that. But instead of looking at QQQ, I typically look at the combined index signal, although most of the combined signal is going to be QQQ. There is some contribution from NDX. All right, let's take a look at, let's go back to trace, see what's happening now. So we're at the current time. I believe this updates. I thought it was every 10 minutes. Let me refresh this just to make sure we're up to date. Yeah, it's still 1410. All right, so it looks like SPX still a little bit closer to the buying delta pressure. And also you can see the shift lower. Just looking at the contour lines. How the selling pressure has moved lower as well. But right now it looks like SPX is in a kind of a neutral zone here. And W. Black says, excellent presentation incorporating trace. Nice runner. Good breakdown of setup. Thanks, Doug. You're welcome, and thank you very much for your kind words. All right, does anyone have any stocks, anything they want me to take a look at? Please let me know, and I'll be glad to do that. I've got about 3 minutes left, and then I'll have to stop right at 2:30 for the Pro Trader webinar series. All right, let's go back. Let's take a look at Hero. Let's go to the index signal. Looks like traders continue to buy calls starting around 1 o'clock, buying index calls. Looks like there might have been another test of that SPY 569 volatility trigger. Let's go back to Bookmap. Go to ES. Rajveer, seeing experiment, says, excellent presentation indeed. Thank you very much. Again, thank you for your kind words. All right, index, the ES, SP 500 index, looks like a triple bottom so far at the SPY volatility trigger. I can't emphasize enough how important these volatility trigger levels are. Third test acting as support as SPX moved down into that positive delta buying pressure region. And traders are buying calls in SPY and SPX. Let's go back to Hero. I'm going to shift to total. It's jumped to equities. All right, so the equity signal has started to shift higher as well. And just to isolate SPY, we can take a look at that as well. It's showing this as the hedge wall here. That's the equity terminology, but for SPY, that is a volatility trigger. Triple test. Go back to the equities. That signal moving higher. And the index signal also moving higher. All right, Max Payne is asking about the SPX Options train, would you say 57.25 to 57.30 is the current max pain spot? Let's go back to Trace and see what Trace is showing. This is showing gamma weighted open interest in real time, how it's changing. It looks like the level right now in the visible range is this 57.20 level. All right, I need to wrap it up so I can make way for the Pro Trader webinar series. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you very much for your questions and comments. And I will see you tomorrow, Friday. Remember, durable goods orders, GDP, Powell on Thursday, PCE, and Michigan consumer sentiment on Wednesday. All right, everyone. See you on Friday. Have a great afternoon. Bye.